right now, I think Tennessee's defense is a concern versus Wofford. You pointed that out, and that they gave up more points than they should have. How much of that is Tennessee playing around with Wofford, not intimidated whatsoever about Wofford, and just all out not respecting Wofford?
Well, I'm going to dive into that with the options of why the defense struggled, because I think there's a lot of factors, but I'm not sure which one is the real factor.
Okay, well, so let's let's go with that. Let's just go with, you're dealing with 20, 21-year-old young men that roll out there and they see that they're playing somebody that's much lower caliber than they are. I think there's a natural tendency, just as a player and as a man, to be like, oh, this isn't that challenging.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think that's. But there are a few other things when we get to the elements that could have been factors too. I just don't want to give it away.
Caleb's not going to answer the question. All right, here we go. Hot or cold? Wofford shot the ball well from 3. How big of a factor was that? Hot or cold? Hot meaning it was a huge factor. Cold meaning it was not much of a factor.
So we're talking about Tennessee's defense being a concern versus Wofford, and what happened. They gave up 62 points, which they shouldn't have. And Wofford just shot the ball well. I'm cold on this. I don't think it was Wofford shooting the ball well. I think Tennessee's defense was not playing the way it typically plays. You have the number 1 ranked defensive three-point efficiency in the nation, and that's because they switch well and they don't double and they don't leave guys open, and they left guys open. I think this was all about Tennessee. Now, Wofford, to their credit, has shot over 40% from 3 the last 4 games. That's why they got hot and won the Southern Conference tournament. But Tennessee is supposed to be the best three-point shooting defensive team in the nation, and they did not defend Wofford well from the 3.
No, I agree. They did not defend. I thought it was more about defending than it was about whether or not Wofford hit the shot. They shouldn't have had the opportunity to shoot the shot. And no offense, but there were a bunch of Dane Bradshaws out there running around on the perimeter. I mean, that's just a fact. Tennessee is tired from the SEC tournament. Hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Hot meaning, yes, they're tired from the SEC tournament. Cold meaning, no, they're not. It's not that.
I'm hot on this. They're tired from the SEC tournament. I think that I watched the game and they were just not as quick getting off screens. You can't screen this team in the season. I don't know if you guys watch Tennessee basketball. You can't screen them. They get around them quickly. The reason Wofford was so awful early on was Wofford wasn't moving as much. The minute Wofford introduced a little bit of motion around the perimeter, Tennessee struggled. And these are not athletic players, guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Caleb, I've written something recently, 2 days ago, that proves your point. So there's part of me that definitely wants to agree with you. There's part of me that wants to say that they bust to Lexington, and busing is usually more fatiguing than hopping on a plane. There's part of me that wants to say they could be mentally fatigued, which
that's hot.
I will lean towards more than physical fatigue, because I've been 21. I've played basketball 5 days a week. I just can't imagine being physically fatigued at that age. And you may well be right. Maybe they're expending energy on a level that I never did at Bricky Elementary School when they'd open the gym. But man, you're 21, 22. And as Will pointed out, they have incredible medical support. Just don't understand how in creation you're tired 4 days after a game and you don't play an up-tempo style. If this was UNLV and, or Arkansas's team for that matter, back in the Nolan Richardson days, and they played a Thursday game and they were tired on a Saturday, I could kind of get that. I'm just having trouble believing with 3 days rest you're tired. I'm sorry. I know the numbers prove that you're right.
Well, it's not just 3 days rest, though. It's coming off 3 games in 3 days, 2 grind fest in Florida and Auburn. And the up-tempo style is not the biggest thing that wears you down, Dave. You brought it up, mental fatigue. It's the way Rick Barnes coaches. And yes, Tennessee plays a half-court game. But Dave, how much Tennessee loves contact. They go all they love. Zakai Ziegler loves contact. Jemai Meshack loves contact. So they like to wear other teams down, but then they get worn down themselves. So it's like, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I think they're mentally worn down. And I think that, by the way,
mentally, I'll roll with you. Mentally, I'll roll with you.
And here's another problem. UCLA can go 8 to 9 deep, and they can actually play 10 guys if they want to. Yep. They're going to be fresher than Tennessee.
Steve says 103 watching, only 17 likes. So thank you, Steve, for reminding me of that. Please hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button so we can bring more people in here. Dylan says, I'm not sweating the Wofford game. If anything played, it was like a shoot around, went out and survived. We'll get back at it against UCLA. We shall see. Now, the next option for Tennessee and hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, is maybe Tennessee didn't play their best game against Wofford, and that was by design. Caleb may have stumbled onto something. Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, 50 years in East Tennessee, cityheatandair.com. Hot or cold, were the Vols playing possum?
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. Dare to compare.
All right, Caleb. You brought this up on the rundown, and I think you may be reaching a little bit, but I want to see where you stand. Was Tennessee purposefully conserving energy?
Even though I think they were tired, I'm hot on this too. I think they were purposely conserving energy. I think they're connected.
That's
and
hot.
let me explain why. And this is why I didn't want to give it away when you asked me at the start, because I'm like, when you're playing a lesser team, you do this. And that's this. They know they're a little bit drained from the SEC tournament. Rick Barnes knows there's a little bit drained. He probably played a little, hey guys, if you get called on one guy and leave another guy open on the perimeter, let him shoot. Don't expend energy trying to stop that three.
He didn't say that. Now, he might have not called 3-quarter press, which he didn't. And that would be silly because then you're just going to burn energy. But he didn't say, don't worry about guarding your man.
No. What he said is if there's a screen and you end up 2 of you guys on one guy on the perimeter, he probably this is a defensive style a lot of teams do anyway. He would just be like, y'all both just stay on that guy, pretty much. So what I'm saying is there weren't a lot of switching. They weren't coming around screens as much. I do think it was on purpose, and I think you're right. Maybe it was psychological. This is what you brought up before we dove right into hot or cold, where you talk about psychologically, do you maybe just take a little bit off when you're playing a team like Wofford? Yeah, they psychologically took some off. I think Rick Barnes strategized for them to take some off. Rick Barnes just dropped in Bishop Boswell in the middle of the first half. Did you notice that?
I did. That was a little odd.
Yeah, exactly. He is out. I think he was purposely trying to conserve energy because he knew how bad Wofford was. Look, it was a weird type of game where Wofford wouldn't go away. Tennessee couldn't put Wofford away permanently, but also where Wofford never really made it that, they never really put the game in question. Does that make sense? They never got closer than 9.
That's true. If you're Tennessee, though, the way to put them away is to bury them. And with 10 minutes left, this is why I'll differ with you. I think it's to bury them. And with 10 minutes left, you're playing, whatever backups you can put out there. They don't really have a full complement of backups because of preseason injuries and transfer portals. But Timothy wants to contribute to Quincy Calhoun's college fund. What does Timothy have for us, Caleb?
That is a loser mentality, to just lose, and then y'all complain about a win. Complain if they lose a certain way. I think you're talking about a loser mentality to just lose in the SEC tournament. Well, they look tired on defense, Timothy, because they played 3 games in 3 days. And last year they threw the SEC tournament on a Friday and went home, and then they made it to the Elite 8. So you tell me which one is.
I'll say this too. Wofford was bad enough that Caleb's conspiracy theory here of playing his possum theory is a little too rich for my blood. But to support it, Wofford was so bad that you could play around with them. And if you were even down by 5 with 10 minutes left, you could still go win by 20.
Yeah. Easily. That's why I'm so upset. Tennessee should have covered yesterday, and they should have held Wofford to under 50 points. I'm still not over it. And so I had a horrible day betting yesterday, guys. That was one of my worst.
Is that why you're so moody?
I'm not moody.
Yeah. Rory has, he says, this Caleb guy's a moron sometimes. Coaches and kids don't tank
Rory,
games.
Tennessee literally tanked a game last year in the SEC tournament.
You say that. I don't think they did. David says, I noticed Boswell early, too. I figured it was to keep Chaz and ZZ, keep with Gainey playing a lot of minutes as well. Tell you what, Gainey might be the X factor in this crew.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. Oh, wow. Someone is accusing me of not being from Memphis.
Let's focus on Gainey.
I'm sorry. I'm just going. I saw it on the message board. Gainey, I think Tennessee just didn't need him yesterday. Look, I'm not worried about the backcourt lack of scoring yesterday. They went all in on Chaz Lanier. They went all in on Chaz Lanier and let him score and take all the shots.
Well, at the end of the day, Wofford did not have anybody that could defend someone as long and big as Chaz Lanier. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah. So if he's hitting his jump shot, which he was, then my criticism of him has been, and it's been Rick Barnes's too, I'm not just pulling this out of you-know-what, that is he needs to take it to the rack more. He technically needed to take it to the rack more yesterday, but his shot was falling. So Tennessee needs to, as a group, take it to the rack more. Well, Zakai did some, and Chaz's shot was falling. So you never had to really play that card. I can pretty much promise you, if Lanier comes out and he's shooting like he against UCLA, like he did against Wofford, they're going to sell out to stop him, and he's either going to have to take it to the rack or Tennessee's going to have other players step up.
So curiously, and I want to know your thoughts on this. Chaz Lanier struggling yesterday, not struggling, going off. Do we think if Chaz Lanier is struggling, Tennessee actually loses that game? Or do we think the other players who didn't score a lot just step up and then they score because they need to?
Nah, there's no way. That's why I think a 14-point win?
15-point win.
15. That's why I think a 15-point win is a little bit disappointing because that's like playing in middle school. I mean, that was
a bad game.
Chaz Lanier could have sat and Tennessee would have won easily. Your boy Zeus says, wait, Wofford scored more than 50. Why does Caleb still have his shirt on?
Because I never agreed to that bet.
I think
Dave tried to make it that bet. No, I said I would never do that. I never agreed to that bet. Dave, you want to know how bad I did?
On Caleb in the message board. I love it.
You want to know how bad I did yesterday betting, Dave? You want to just know this real
Not really. Look at this comment. You hate from Memphis, coward A. Look at
I absolutely am from Memphis. But okay, Roy. All right. Anyways, this happened to me yesterday, Dave. I'm not kidding you. This happened to me.
Yes.
I downloaded the ESPN Bet app because I hadn't used it yet. And I'm like, I'll use this app. And you know, when you download apps, they give you a bunch of free money to hook you in gambling. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'll take the free money. So I download the ESPN Bet app. I put in 50 of my own money. ESPN gives me $100 for free. And I'm able to spend 5 bonus bets worth $20. Somehow, with a free amount of $100 yesterday from ESPN, I walked away with less money than I put in.
That's great. Good job, Caleb. There you go.
How does that happen on one day? Like, I put in 50. They spotted me 100, and I walk away with $48.